I mean, big business, take it away. And the reverberation.
By the way, that right there is, when people complain about the corporate making decisions, that's what they're complaining about, is that you're not, because it's true. At a corporation, you can make a decision 100% based on bottom line. And unfortunately, those aren't usually, or you can be tempted to make bad strategic decisions. And even though you might win in the short term for this quarter or next quarter or this fiscal year, in the long run, what do you end up with?
Exactly. What do you end up with? And I'm not going to blame it on, let's say, the owners and administrators and the folks above, right? And I'm not going to blame it on the workers. I'm going to blame it on the detachment and to take, what the whole thing you do with leadership, right? The culture became bad. And I'm going to tell you why I believe this. Our third loom we bought, after we discovered the first two, I discovered this Italian guy. His name was Mario. And I just started calling people, trying to find, there was this mill in Sanford, Maine, a huge mill, 1 million square feet. And I heard it had shut down. And I called the town and I was like, hey, I heard about this mill. Somebody said there might be some equipment in there, some old equipment, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh yeah, this guy Mario owns it. Maybe you should try calling the tax assessor. I said, okay. So I called the tax assessor. They're like, yeah, we know this person, Mario. Yeah, he shut the mill down, and we have some contact information for him. But it was very cold. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. So he gave me the number, and I called, and I left a message. And I said, hey, my name's Pete Roberts. I'm trying to bring textiles back to Maine. And I'd like to talk to you about your mill. And he called me back, and he's an old guy, and he's Italian, and the Italians are the ones that make the really good looms for a long time, about 100 years, 200 years, whatever it was. And his family had been in weaving and in textiles for 100 years. And he said to me, Pete, he said, let me tell you something, in his Italian accent. He said, we didn't want to shut the doors. He said, but I did. He said, I shut the doors, I locked it up, and I walked away. And every single piece of machinery is still in that mill. I said, what? I'm getting chills. Every single piece of machinery is still in that mill. He said, if you can do something about that, I'm willing to work with you. I said, open the doors for me, man. He goes, let me tell you something. When I went to the town, when they basically wanted to take advantage of me on the tax base, and I still had 40 people working there, they wouldn't work with me. He said, it wasn't me that wanted to strip it away. It was a mixture. He said, yeah, I had to shut the doors because I was forced to. They forced my hand. The people didn't want to lose their jobs, but at the same time, he said the people were basically putting pressure on him, right? They're looking up hey, you can pay us more. Hey, you can do this. Hey, you can do this. And then he said, when I went to the town and they wouldn't help us with any of this, he goes, what am I going to do? Shut the doors and walk away. So we have a people that's complacent. We have a town that expects what they expect and is inflexible. And you put the owner in a position where he needs to react. He needs to make a decision. And his decision was shut the doors and walk away. That's what he did. You want me to tell that story about that mill?
Yeah.
Dude, so we get there and he's like, call this guy Jim. He's at the mill. He is the night watch or whatever. He's the caretaker for the property. And I met Jim, and he's got this big white beard, this older gentleman, and he used to make the warps that wove the fabric. And he was very protective of everything, like very protective. And you know what's funny is History Channel, they sent a crew with us for this. They were looking at doing a TV show way back. And anyways, so we had this whole film crew, and we have this. I'll have to show this to you sometime. It's crazy. So he unlocked, so it's all overgrown grass. The windows are smashed. The bricks are basically like falling apart. I mean, it's just deteriorated. And he opens the door and walks in, and the smell of years of no heat and the cold and the heat and the cold. Everything was peeled, and all the floorboards were punky and popped up, nails sticking up and everything. But we walked in that mill, and it was exactly set up the way he left it. I'm talking huge cotton processing machines made out of wood with needles to separate, to card the cotton, to pull the organics out. I'm talking I would say a football field long spinning machines to spin yarn. And then Jim, after I started talking to him about what we were doing, because he was just cold. He was just like,
What number loom were you getting from him? That was number 3. This is number 3. Okay.
And the warper.
God. Right.
So we he and then I saw like 6 looms on the floor, and I was like, "You guys have looms?" He's like, "Let me show you something."
And were they rusted? Were they broken and worn, or were they in okay condition?
They had not been run for 20 years, I think. So they were in okay condition because they were between floors. So the top floor was just destroyed. Mm-hmm. And you know all those bins we have in the pro shop?
Yeah.
They came from that mill. Cool. All those canvas bins. So that top floor was destroyed. There was just bird's nest and shit everywhere, right? All over everything. And then they were in the middle floors. But he's like, "Let me show you something." I'm like, "Okay." And we follow him down this staircase, and I'm like, this guy's gonna like murder us or something. You know, I'm thinking like, what is going on? We walk in, and he pulls his flashlight up like this, and it's like a layer of dragons. There's got to be 60, 70 looms in the basement of this place, and that's where we pulled the shit out.